Okay, hello and welcome everyone to the course Industrial Robotics and Automation. In today's lecture, we'll be continuing with the practice problem related to pneumatic circuit design. Okay, so let us now start with our another problem that you can now see in your screen. Okay, just try to attempt this. Okay. So I hope it's readable. Even if it's not, I'll just read it. Just listen, okay? So it says a double acting cylinder 1A, okay, guides a cylinder pin towards a measuring device. The pins are separated by means of a continuous to and fro movement. Okay, that means these pins, if you can see here, okay, these are actually separated by a continuous to and fro movement of a double acting cylinder. Fine. The oscillating motion can start by means of a valve with a selector switch. That means you are going to use a switch, okay, selector switch type of valve. The problem further says that the duration of the forward stroke, okay, of the cylinder is to be 0.6 seconds. That means you are actually controlling the speed of the forward motion of the cylinder and also the return stroke. Okay, it says the return stroke also takes 0.4 seconds. Fine. So that means your return stroke should also be controlled or regulated using a flow control valve. Okay. Now the final statement in this, it says the cylinder is to remain in the forward end position for 1 second. Okay, and then it should retract back. That means your extension should take place in 0.6 seconds, your retraction should take place in 0.4 seconds, and the cylinder should remain in the extended position for 1 second. Okay, that means you have to add some amount of time delay, okay, when the cylinder is in its completely extended position. Okay, and that delay should be 1 second, right? So just try to first attempt this problem. And then we will see where this how can we give the time delay. So first, initially you just try to attempt this problem without any time delay. That means you are actually extending this double acting cylinder, okay, with a flow control valve, and again you are retracting using again another flow control valve. Okay, first draw the circuit, then we will move further, okay, as to see how we can give the time delay. So first try to just identify the elements that will be required. So what is your actuator? Actuator is your double acting cylinder. Fine. And your entire circuit should start by pressing a selector switch. Okay, so you require a valve which has a switch arrangement instead of a push button. Okay, and then your forward end as well as your retraction. Okay, both movement are to be controlled. Okay, that means the speed has to be regulated. Fine, that you can do using two one-way flow control valve. Okay, so first just try to make those circuit. Okay, so you are going to have a double acting cylinder, you are going to have two one-way flow control valves, and then you are going to have a selector switch, okay, with a valve, and of course to actuate and retract the double acting cylinder you require a DCV, and that DCV would be what? It would be a 5 by 2 pneumatically controlled valve, right? So good, first try to do this. Okay, one more thing is here. Something so you also have to detect the end position, right? Because once the cylinder has extended, only the time delay will take place. So there has to be something, okay, to detect your end position. So that means we would be requiring a roller valve also. Okay, so just let me take this. So you are going to have one double acting cylinder here, and you require a 5/2 valve. Fine. So first let's try to make the condition for the extension of the cylinder. Okay. So your cylinder would extend. It says you also require a and of course a compressed air source. Okay, fine. Okay, now this can actually start my circuit right directly. Okay, for the extension of the stroke. However, to control the to have a control over the extending speed of the cylinder, you also require a flow control valve. Okay, here I can just place this here itself. Fine. And also my retraction speed needs to be controlled, so I'll be putting another flow control valve here. Right. Now the cylinder should extend. That means if I have to just place this side. Okay, fine. This would result in my cylinder getting extended. Okay, with a flow control valve in between. So with that I can actually determine the speed of the cylinder during the extension stroke. Similarly, with this flow control valve orifice opening, okay, that is a shuttle valve here, you can actually your uh, check valve along with this orifice control, okay, that is a throttle valve. So basically your one-way flow control valve actually consists of two elements. If you see the construction, it actually consists of this, which is a throttle valve, and it also consists of a this check valve. Okay, so both together it is placed in such a way that you actually get a one-way flow control valve. Okay, by adjusting the flow of this throttle valve here. Okay, so this would again result in my this double acting cylinder. Okay, the retraction speed I can control through this. What does it say again? That once the cylinder is extended, okay, it should remain in its extended position. That means it says once the cylinder has extended, something has to be here to detect the extension of the cylinder. So I will be placing one roller valve. Okay, so I write 1S2 and I detect the end position. That is, since my cylinder is 100 mm in length, I will be putting 100 here, and now I can see that. Okay, I can leave it here also. So just to detect the end position of the cylinder. Fine. So 1 second. Okay. Now after this, what do I require? What do I require? It says that the cylinder should remain in its extended position. Okay, so when I'm adding a roller valve here, I also require a roller valve, this roller valve here. So this would be named as 1S2. Okay, fine. So this valve will actually get actuated only when your double acting cylinder has completely extended. Okay, now after this, what do I require? I require a time delay of 1 second. Okay, so for this we actually have a specific component, okay, in your pneumatic circuit, and that is known as your time delay valve. Okay, the construction of time delay valve is somewhat like this. Okay, if you see, this is a time delay valve. Okay, so what you have, you actually have one port here. This is a pressure port, that is inletting. Okay, and you have your throttle valve here along with your check valve, just like your one-way flow control valve. So what happened, you actually, the more you close in the throttle, okay, the higher time delay you give. Why? Because see, if you see the arrangement, first the gas will come, pass through this throttle valve, okay, and go and get stored in this container here. Okay, so this is a tank basically that is required to give the particular amount of time delay. So say it can give a maximum time delay of suppose 3 seconds. Okay, so initially the air is first goes and gets filled into the tank. Once it is completely filled, only then the air passes through here, okay, and just actuate the left envelope of this 3/2 valve. Okay, and hence your this source, which is earlier blocked, okay, so this will be your pressurized port, will then get connected to your port number 2 here. Okay, so port number 1 is your pressurized port number 2 is your again connecting port to this is also your pressurized port. Okay, fine. So that actually gives it your time delay, to give it a delay. So that means where are these ports going to get placed? So just let us see the working. Okay, so you have your circuit here. So once my cylinder 1A completely extends, then what would happen? My 1S2 roller valve would get actuated. Okay, once that get actuated, that means I will be placing this here. Okay, and my so okay, once this gets actuated, that means what? Now my that means my pressurized line will come here, go all the way to this 1-2 port here. Okay, from there on one, by adjusting the throttle, okay, I can actually give it a time delay, because initially my air would actually go and store, just go and get stored in this tank. Once this tank is full, only then my this 3/2 valve, okay, which is actually pneumatically operated, okay, will just get actuated, and then I can have a supply from here. Okay, so basically the outlet of this would get connected to my this port, and here I can have my another compressor line here. Fine. Right, so if you see this, okay, so I have an open port here. That means I actually require my, right now I have not given a compressor to this 5/2 valve. Okay, fine. Now if I play this, okay, and then just let me control these throttles level. Okay, this similarly I will put this also. Okay, with this I am actually controlling the speed of my extension and retraction stroke. Here if you see again, and here again I can give a time delay, okay, by controlling the opening level of my throttle valve. Fine, and then I close it. Okay, so if I just try to run this, you see my cylinder gets extends. Now see, this is the time that is provided here, time delay. Okay, fine. So now see, what is the error here? The cylinder is not retracting back. Why? Because at a time you have this source here coming from this side. Okay, this is not getting disengaged. So for that, what do you require? You actually require one more roller valve, which will detect my end position of this. Okay, fine, and only this I will be connecting it to this source here. Okay, now if you just extend, you see the cylinder extends, there is a delay here, and then it retracts back, and again this continue again. Now see what is happening. If you just try to simulate it in a step-by-step manner. So what I do, first I press this selector switch. Okay, now when I press the selector switch and my 1S S1 valve, okay, which is actually actuated when the cylinder is in the retracted position. Okay, so since this is there in the retracted end position, what would happen? This valve would get actuated, 1S1, okay, and this would result in my 5/2 valve, okay, to get engaged in the left envelope. That is, your extension cycle will continue. If you see here, okay, this would result in now my extension of the cylinder. Okay, so you can see the pressurized line going here. This is a one-way flow control valve that will actually control the speed of my extension. Okay, so you see the cylinder extending. Fine. Now see, once the cylinder has completely extended, then you see your 1S2 valve with roller valve will get actuated. Okay, so see, now your 1S2 roller valve is actually actuated, and then you have your flow here. Now see, this flow will first pass through this orifice, okay, and get collected into this tank, and that will give a delay. Okay, when the tank is full, only then your this pneumatic pressure, okay, or this pilot signal will actually operate this valve, and that would result in my pressurized line, okay, getting connected to your second port, and that would again shift this 5/3 valve to the left envelope. Okay, that is the right position, and that would result in the retraction of the cylinder. You see, there will be a certain delay. Okay, I am clicking, but still the this is not getting actuated, so that is actually providing you the delay. Okay, see, now once this tank is full, now what would happen? This valve will get actuated. Okay, and now you are going to have your pressurized line, that is port 1 getting connected to port number 2, and finally shifting this 5/2 valve towards its right envelope, which would again result in the retraction of my cylinder. Okay, so again the cylinder is now retracting back. Fine. So see, even in this slow motion, if you see here, okay, see the cylinder is extending, then there is a delay, and again it is retracting back. So the moment the cylinder is coming back, again your 1S1 valve is getting actuated, and that actually results in a continuous cycle. Fine. Okay, anyone having any problem or any doubt in this circuit can just ask me.
Sir, when you attach the air tank, air reservoir,
Yes,
and then 3/2 valve,
right.
how is that connecting? When I am trying to, it's not picking up the same thing. Sir.
This one here.
No, not that one, sir. To the right hand circuit. Sir.
This one?
This circuit, there is the flow control valve is attached to air reservoir, air tank.
This one, na?
Yes, yes.
No, so this is a complete one valve. This is not in bits and pieces. If you can see in the section here, you cannot actually arrange that. If you just scroll down, and in the valve group, you just come here, see the valve groups here. Valves group. Here you can have a time delay valve. So this is completely one valve. You don't arrange.
Oh, it's in valve group. Sir.
Yeah, it's in valve group. You have your time delay valve. Okay. So this is made up of so many components. So basically your time delay valve is made up of your check valve, your throttle valve, and your 3/2, okay, pneumatically operated spring offset valve. Okay, so it is a combination of all these three. Fine.
Yes.
That is why, see, this entire component is actually put in a dotted line here, complete.
Yes.
If you can see. So this is, yeah, this one. Similarly, if you see your flow control valve, for example, this, okay, this is also made up of two valves. If you see individual component, it is one is of your throttle and the other one is your check valve, okay. But again, these two together are combined, and that is why they are again, these two components are put again in a dashed line, dotted line here, okay. So basic objective is to understand. So did you just get the gist of it? Any area where you have doubt? Okay.
Can you please once again explain where we use a normally closed valve, roller valve, and when we use this normally open valve? That
So
is,
see, normally open and normally closed you can use depending upon what is the configuration you want to have. Okay, so for example, see, roller valve would be a just a bit confusing for you to understand. Just let me show you a simple circuit. Okay, I'm just now deleting this. Fine, so just let me take this simple circuit. Okay, so you have a single acting cylinder, you have a compressor. Okay, so what I do, there are two circuits here. Okay, so just let me make a simple circuit. Okay, so what I'm doing, I'm having a single acting cylinder, I'm having compressed air sources here both, and I'm having a 3x2 valve. Okay, a push button valve. Okay, however, sorry, I've used both of them to be as same. Okay, so both are 3x2 push button operated. Okay, or that is manually actuated, and spring offset valve. Okay, however, one is your normally closed. If you see here in its initial position, this is closed, and the other is a normally open. Okay, now see, once you just start means, that means once you give your power supply, once you open the pressurized line, okay, from the compressor outlet. Okay, now you see these are the initial position of the valve. Okay, your cylinders. Why? If this was normally closed, that means your actually pressure port is closed here. Okay, so your cylinder would remain in its retracted position, and when I actuate, my cylinder would extend. The moment I leave, it retracts. Okay, in this case, in the default position, since it was a normally open valve, this cylinder default position is its extended position. The moment I actuate this valve manually, it will retract. Again I leave it, it will remain extended. Hope this makes your normally open and normally closed clear.
so what about this normally closed and normally open roller valve?
So that functionality will also be the same, depending upon how do you want to sense it. For example, if you take the valve arrangements here, okay, so see, if this is the arrangement here, normally closed, then what it says, the moment your this roller valve is actuated, okay, only then you will have a your this pressurized, that is port 1 getting to connected to port 2, and you may be able to shift the valve, okay, or whatever other functionality you want to do. In this case, technically at that time, okay, when the valve is not actuated, you will be having your pressurized line connected to your this port number 2, and the moment the valve gets actuated, okay, that would result in your this supply getting cut off. Fine. So it depends. Whatever uses we had, we actually wanted to use only a normally closed valve, so that our actuation only triggers, okay, some other movement. For example, when my cylinder is extending, the completely extended position of the cylinder triggers my movement backwards. Okay, and for that what we do, we require a pneumatic signal to actually shift the valve. So in that case, we are using a normally closed valve. Okay, now suppose when we are opening a when we are using a normally open valve, okay, say with this valve we are controlling some other cylinder which is actually in its initial position, it has to be in its extended position, and the moment my cylinder, for example, say I'm having two cylinder. Okay, what I did, I just used here 1S1, okay, and I detected my, say, okay, the completely extended position. Okay, now see, just imagine this valve is my 1S1. Fine, and this I'm using it to control some other cylinder. Say I have my Fine. So suppose with this I have actually connected this. Okay. So technically, okay, this cylinder, whenever I one sec. Just trying to explain here in this. Fine, okay. I have to add some pressure sources here. So see, one case might be like this. Okay. So say I'm controlling two cylinders. Okay. So this is my one single acting cylinder. This is my other single acting cylinder. Okay. So the default position of these cylinders are like this. Okay, and my circuit is such that whenever I press a push button, my cylinder 1 extends, and when it has completely extended, okay, this should result in the retraction of the second cylinder. Okay, so see, now in this case we'll be using a 1S1 valve, okay, that is a roller valve to detect the end position of your single acting cylinder, okay, that is the first cylinder, and with this should retract. Okay, so if you see, when I press this, this cylinder has extended, which resulted in your 1S1 valve to get closed. Okay, since it was a normally open valve, so the moment it is actuated, it got closed, and then your cylinder retracted back. Fine. Hope this circuit makes you clear then. The example of this. So see, this was a normally open valve. Okay, so at that time, in a normally open roller valve, you are actually actuating some cylinder. Okay, then that is a default position. The moment this valve gets actuated, this valve port will get closed. Okay, and that would result in some other functionality to do. So this is one example that I just showed you, a very basic example in which my cylinder 1 extension, okay, the last point of my cylinder 1 extension will lead to my retraction of the other cylinder. Okay, so see, this is the example. Fine.
So I am getting a little bit confused in the naming here. 1S1, when the first cylinder extends fully.
Yeah, sorry, this should be 1S2. Yeah, fine. This should be 1S2 since it is the detected end position of the first cylinder. Okay.
So while you are doing that, 1S2, where are you setting the parameters that it is fully extended? Because while you are showing in your screen here right now.
This is the second time that you are asking me the same question. Okay, let me get you again. Okay, so when you double click on the cylinder, okay, so if you have this software, just double click on the cylinder. Okay, now you can see there are so many on the top. If you see these tabs: configuration, parameters, external load, force profile, and actuating labels. Can you see these?
No, we can't see that while you are doing that.
No, while I am doing that, but if you can open your own screen in the software, there you must be able to see that actuating labels. Can you see that tab?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, just click on the tab actuating label. Okay. Then what appears in front of you? There are 3 boxes that is to be filled. Okay.
Label, start and end.
Yeah, great. Okay, so label would be your 1S1. Okay, that means what label you are giving to the valve. Fine. Okay. So that is 1S1. Okay, now see 1S1, that means you are trying to detect what position? Your initial position here. Okay, so it says the position. In the position you have begin and you have to end. Okay, you have to tab if you see in the position, beginning position and end position. Okay, that means it says the roller valve what position it should detect, whether it can detect a range of position or it should detect only a point position. Okay, suppose if you are detecting a point position, that means if you are saying I want to detect only the extreme end of the cylinder, Okay, that is the completely retracted. In that case, your begin position and your end position both should be set to 0 0. Fine. If you want to detect the completely extended position, then what your begin and your end point should be in that case? It should be whatever is your, see, if you just click on this another tab here, fourth, that actually shows your cylinders. Okay, your stroke of the cylinder in mm. In this case, what can I see here? In this case, I can see 0.5 mm as my stroke length. It can be 50 centimeter, whatever your stroke length, that depends. These are your stroke lengths. Okay, that is given of the cylinder here by default, whatever cylinder you select. Okay, so that means if 50 is my stroke length here, okay, that means I can actually go up to a level of maximum 50 to detect my stroke length. Okay, so if I put my position, beginning position to be 50 and end position to be 50, that means this valve will actually detect my completely extended position of the cylinder, that is your 50 mm. Fine, did you get it in your software? Just try to check once.
Yes, sir, we got it.
Yeah, Ajay, did you get it or still not?
Yes, sir, got it, sir.
Fine. So there you can actually set why this begin and end. Sometimes see actually you want to detect the range. For example, you say my roller valve should get actuated at 20% of the extended and it should go up to 40%. So there you can set, say, so from 0.1 mm or 10 mm to 20 mm. So these are the range you want to detect. Okay. Now if you want to do not want to detect the range, if you just want to detect a single point, that time your beginning and your end value both will be the same. Only then you can detect a single point. Fine. Okay. So this was one case. Now let us go to two circuits, two cylinder controls. Okay. So till now we are actually focused on a single cylinders. Now from next example onwards, let us go for a two cylinder control. Okay. So your task is to control two double acting cylinders, and what should be your motion? Your cylinder 1, okay, that is this cylinder, extends completely. Okay, once cylinder 1 has extended, then your cylinder 2 will extend completely. Okay, once cylinder 2 has completely extended, then both should retract at the same time. Did you get my question? Everyone clear? So your cylinder 1A extends. Okay, once you ensure that it has completely extended, okay, then what would happen? Your cylinder 2 would start to extend. Okay, and when cylinder 2 has completely extended, okay, then both the cylinders should retract at the same time. Clear? So just try to make this circuit. I'll be helping you all with this. So with this you can actually get the understanding of how to control two cylinders. Okay, so of course you would be requiring a 5/2 valve for both. Somebody. So of course you need to detect your end position of both the cylinders. Okay, so what you do, you just start labeling 1S1 and 1S2. Fine. Similarly, for this, what would be the label as 2S1 to detect the retracted position of this cylinder, and 2S2, okay, to detect the completely extended position of the under cylinder. Okay, so that means we are going to use 4 valves. Okay, 4 roller valves. So just So this would be my 1s1, fine, and then similarly okay. So I've just named these valves, okay. Fine. So you have 1s1, 1s2, 2s1 and 2s2. Okay. Now again, you have to do all the signal processing and control these 5 by 2 valves. Okay. Such that your desired functionality is met. Okay. So how should your circuit start? Why I have given 1s1? Because I am ensuring that my entire this circuit, okay, that is extension of one cylinder, then again the extension of the second cylinder, and then retraction of both the cylinders. This only starts when my both the cylinders are in the retracted in position. That means cylinder 1 should only extend, okay, once it is in the completely retracted position. That means this 1s1 valve is actually used to detect whether the cylinder 1 is in completely retracted position or not. Only then your circuit, that is your first movement, should start. That is your extension of the cylinder 1. Fine. And this I will, since it will be a continuous circuit, I have to control this with a 3 by 2 valve. Okay. Now first you try to just make these circuit diagrams here. Then I will help you. Okay, first step, I'm doing it for you. It says when my cylinder 1 is its completely retracted position, okay, which I can ensure with 1s1, and my selector switch is pressed, then my cylinder 1 it should extend. That means what I'm going to do, I'm going to put this in series, okay, right? So see, there are two methods of making an AND circuit. Either what I do, I take these two components and combine it using a dual pressure valve or a two pressure valve, okay, or I put them in series so that when I actuate this and this is also actuated, only then I will get an output here. So both way it is to work. Since you all have done a dual pressure valve type of setting, so let me just initiate that itself so that it would be easy for you to understand. So, okay, this is a dual pressure valve that says when both the conditions are true at its port number 1 and the other side port, only then you will get a flow from here. Okay. So what have I connected to? I have connected 1s1 is the roller valve that actually ensures that my cylinder is in completely retracted position. That along with my selector switch, when I press, only then this cylinder should extend. Fine. So that I have achieved through this diagram here. Fine. Now see, once this cylinder 1 has completely extended, okay, that means what will get actuated? Which roller valve will get actuated? Once cylinder 1 has completely extended. Anyone?
What was the question, sir? Can you
रोलर जिसमें H2 नाम होगा,
Yeah,
1S2 वो,
1s2. Okay, so that means this roller valve will get actuated. Okay, now say what you have to do with this roller valve here, 1s2. With 1s2 I should actually trigger what? My forward movement of this cylinder, right? Correct. So with 1s2 what should I trigger? Because the question says when cylinder 1 has completely extended, then what would happen? My cylinder 2 should start to extend. That means with 1s2 I should start the movement of my second cylinder. Have you got this? Did you get this or
Yes.
not? Anyone? Correct?
Yes.
So see, what just you have to build on the logic. So first, what did I solve? I solved the condition for the extension of my cylinder 1. Okay. Once I did that, okay, then my cylinder 1 will extend. So when my cylinder 1 will extend and reach its edge position, okay, then my 1s2 roller valve would get triggered. That is this. Okay. Now since 1s2 is a basically limit switch to detect the end position. Now what should be the output? Once you have detected the end position, what do you have to do? So with that end position, you are actually triggering your second cylinder to extend. That means your 1s2 output would actually result in your roller valve, okay, to just initiate this envelope of the cylinder. Okay, then what would happen? Your second cylinder would start to extend. Fine. So when your second cylinder will completely extend, then which roller valve will it trigger? Which roller valve will it trigger? 2s2.
2S2.
Fine. So with that 2s2, what you should do? Because the question says once cylinder 2 has completely extended, both cylinders should move backward. So what you should do with that 2s2? This is the signal of the 2s2 valve.
So we have to connect that signal to the pilot port of the first switch.
Great. That means this you have to connect it to here. Okay.
No, sir.
No, but then see, I told you both the cylinders should retract. So that means you have to connect this to this also and you have to connect this to this also.
Yes, sir.
Correct. So that means this should be my circuit. Okay. So that the moment 2s2 is actuated, what happens? This line would actually help to shift this valve this side, and at the same time simultaneously this will also shift this valve here. Correct. So that my both the cylinders retract simultaneously. Did you get this logic? Fine. So let us just try to simulate this. Okay. Now see why I have kept 2s1. Anyone idea 2s1 why I have kept? Just as a similar case in this one. Say suppose 2s1 ensures, okay, that my cylinder 2 starts to extend, okay, but first it should remain in its retracted position, because there may be some for example some condition for this cylinder as a safety mechanism, that only once it is at the completely retracted position, then only my this sequence should run, otherwise this cylinder should not start. So what I am going to do, basically I am going to place this and this, okay, together in an AND logic. That means now the condition for my second cylinder to extend, although the first condition is what? Cylinder 1 should be completely extended. That means my 1s2 valve should be triggered. Okay. And then if the cylinder is also at its retracted position, which is sensed by the roller valve 2s1, if both conditions are fulfilling, only then my this valve should extend. Okay. Now what I have to do, I just have to give the compressor sources to all the valves. Okay. Your pressurized line sources. So I will give it to this as well as this and the third one. Fine. Now just let us try to simulate this circuit. Fine. So okay, Okay, so it's working, it will continue to do this. See, let us do it in a slow manner, step by step. So what I do, I just first play, okay, and then see when I press this switch. So what happened? Initially, since my cylinder 1S, okay, 1S1 valve is there, so only this is triggered right now. So until unless I do not press this switch, till then I will not get an input here to extend this cylinder. Okay, so see now what I do. Okay, so see this is a AND circuit, that is a dual pressure valve. So input from 1S1, okay, that is your roller valve, this, as well as your limit switch, not your limit switch, your selector switch here. Okay, so both results in your this 5/2 valve, okay, to get actuated in its left envelope, which would result in my cylinder 1 to extend. Okay, now see one cylinder 1 is completely extended, okay, then you see your 1S2 will get actuated. Okay, so your 1S2 gets actuated and your 2S1 is already actuated. Why 2S1 is actuated? Because initially your this cylinder is in its retracted position. Okay, so 2S1 was already actuated. Once this cylinder 1 is completely extended, your 1S2 roller valve got actuated, which resulted in your this spool, okay, to shift towards the left envelope. Okay, so this is basically a two AND logic. So when both the conditions are true, okay, only then you will get a pressurized line here. Fine, and this shifts this valve, okay, this 5/2 valve to its left envelope. Now this should cause this cylinder to extend. Okay, see this cylinder extends. Okay, now once this cylinder will completely extend, then this is your 2S2 valve. Okay, so 2S2 valve will actually get send the signal. Once it has completely extended, you see this got actuated, and now this will send pressurized signal to this line as well as this line also here, so that both the 5/2 valves shift towards the left at the same time. Okay, you see the dark color, the dark blue line. Okay, so this resulted in a pressure line coming at this port also itself and at this also. This would again, now see both the valve got shifted towards this. Now you see both the cylinders will now retract. You can see now this is the pressurized line here as well as the pressurized line here. Okay, so you see both the cylinders are retracting at the same time. Okay, now the moment both the cylinders are completely retracted, again your 1S1, okay, that was the valve here, this gets triggered, and which will again result in the extension of this cylinder, and then the same cycle would follow. Why? Because this switch, selector switch, is continuously on. Okay, if you replace this, okay, one question, if I replace this selector switch, okay, with a push button, then what would happen? Anyone? Now this switch got replaced by a push button. What will happen?
Sir, until
सर वो
now,
ब्लॉक हो जाएगा, वो एक राउंड के बाद ब्लॉक हो जाएगा सर, मतलब एक
Very
cycle
good,
के बाद।
very good. That means this entire cycle of my first cylinder getting extended and then second cylinder getting extended and both retracting back, this will continue for only one cycle. Okay, let us see. Just play this. Okay, and now see what I'm just pressing and leaving. Fine. Why my second cycle did not execute? Because see this line, okay, this line has to be a pressurized line, only then this valve will shift, and then all the circuit are controlled from here onwards. Okay, so this line, because of the push button, what did I do? When I pressed, I got a signal from here which resulted in this pilot signal here, but the moment I put this back, okay, since it was a push button, the moment I pushed and left it back, this spring offset closed this pressurized port here, and I do not have any signal back here. Okay, so after one complete cycle, even if this cylinder returned back here and my 1S1 got actuated, since this is a two-way pressure valve, this is not allowing my second cycle to work. See again, if you just see, okay, just see it again. Fine, this will not, till when I will just push once, so one cycle will continue and go. So now you can just see like how you can completely automate. See, if you see, this is an automation of one cycle only. That means two cylinders doing two works, maybe any other work. Okay, they all combine. Similarly, if you just replace this by a selected switch, then of course you can do n number of cycles. Okay, then in the next step you can also place some counters to count the number of cycles. So say suppose you want to execute this for 10 cycles. Okay, so there is a counter which actually counts. The moment the counter receives a preset value of 10, then again this entire circuit would again stop. Okay, so there are various type of circuit, but this I am just showing you since we have very little amount of time. I believe you can get how you can see the coordinated motion where your limit switch, okay, to detect the n positions of the different cylinders come into play, and with those switch you can actually shift the other, or you can actually actuate some other type of cylinders, another mechanism with these types of switches. Okay, fine. So we'll be stopping here. Okay.